Hey, I'm reinventing BandFitness. So I was watching these band workout thingies, and I'm finna break something down, and this is leading to another invention. Not just another invention, but a whole nother atmosphere for band fitness, right? Using these bands. And there is a point when you're using bands for band fitness where it's really wasted and it's not extracting the most out of your band. And the reason is because we're following prehistoric traditional pathways of equipment. So with this small change, it's going to be more efficient, more direct, and also allowing you to utilize your band in any motion, more omnidirectional. Okay? When you, like, let me show you something. Like these bands right here, I'm finna show you. The ones with the handle on them. You'll notice it has a triangle, in the handle. And this is actually not ideal for not only your wrists, right? But also it's really just not maximizing the tension of the band, right? So let me show you something. All right, so I'm finna show you this right here. I want you to look at this guy. We're gonna start with this guy first. Okay. All right, stop. Oh shit, hold on. Okay. Nope. Go back. Okay. Now you see that's no tension, right? Common sense. There's no tension in that right there. And the reason why is really no tension is because there's no weight. Alright? So even when you curling with a curl bar and you going down, or dumbbell, right, and you going down, you're still able to utilize, generate strength and grow your strength and your power through the tension of the weight, right? Because you're not just letting it slop down, okay? So let's look at it again. No tension, tension. Okay. So as you look at all this band, right, it takes to get about no tension, tension. Okay, you have to get your arm about right here for it to start developing some tension. Okay, not all the way up where it's at, but more like where his elbow is at and going straight that way on that line, right? Okay, about right, tension right there. You feel what I'm saying? So, wait, tension. Oh man, let me stop it. Okay, about right there, okay? That's where your tension is pretty much beginning. But the problem is this handle that we have right here. This handle with this triangle, okay, is what's taken away from the tension of the band, okay? We think that it's giving us immediate tension, but it really isn't, okay? So let's look over here on this guy right here. You see how it is right there? Okay. I'm looking at him now. Okay, no tension, no tension. Tension. And a little too slow. Tension, no. Stop. Oh, dang, can I get it to stop? Okay, that right there. Perfect. Okay, that's where tension begins. Alright? That's where tension begins. And that little triangular slack is what's not giving you your optimum workout. Okay? So, what I'm talking about doing, right, is pretty much now is creating a new style of cuffs, with cuffs, wrist cuffs, right, that'll go about from right here and down, okay, to your wrist. Which this little handle, I'm gonna cut that little handle off. Now you seen in the BowBands how like it had the knot, okay? You don't like how you have, remember back in the day we used to have them things that used to be on the JanSport and you light them on fire and they have that little hardened spot to it, okay? So imagine that, you know, a knot, you know, pretty much a little knot, right? A nice knot right there at the edge, right there where the band start, okay? Now we're moving this whole little triangle right here that he got his wrist, that he got his hand on, okay? And this part right here with the knot is gonna connect to the wrist, okay? 1 second. Okay. So it's gonna connect to the wrist, and it's gonna go from here. The wrist is gonna go from here to about right here, right? And it's gonna be thick and it's gonna be weighted, and it's gonna be of solid material, okay? It's gonna have to be sturdy. It's gonna have to be of solid material. You clamp it, you know what I'm saying? You lock, you know, you lock it in. Boom. You put your wrist, put your arm through it, right? And you lock it in. So it'll go from your wrist about right here to about right here, right? Right, about right here to about right here, okay? And when you connect the edge of the band, let's just say if you're doing curls, right? If you're doing curls, right? Let me grab this. What can I grab to show you? Let me grab this right here. Okay, so let's say I'm doing curls, right? And I'm doing curls. And I'm curling, okay. And this is a dumbbell, okay? Now, where this wrist piece that I'm talking about is gonna go right here, right? Locked in is on your wrist and it's weighted as well, okay? So you put your weight on there, right? All right. Now, it's gonna be an omnidirectional 360. When I say omnidirectional, okay? 360, so it can travel all around your wrist in a circle, in a full circle, okay? And you remember how I had the okay, remember how I had this on the board, that little cone like, okay? That's where the band is gonna go in, you know, where the knotted band is gonna go in, okay? So at that point, it's gonna keep tension. So now, when you curling with weight, you gotta go down slow and keep the tension, okay? When you're curling with these bands, it's not really the same thing. Now, up is different, you know, it does what it does, but down is not really the same thing. So, with this wrist mechanism, with that cone that I was talking about, right, that allows that cone that's tethered, that's connected to that band to go 360 around your wrist, right? In accordance to how you're moving, you can now do any workout you desire, okay, with bands, without any abnormality, irregular feeling or sensation, hurting of the wrists. If you got bad grips problems, you know, things like that, arthritis kind of thing, you don't have to worry about that. So let's say if I'm curling this way, right, and I'm curling, wait a minute. Okay, wait. Okay, so let's say I'm traditionally curling. I got the bands, right, and I'm curling, right, and I'm stepping on the bands, and I'm curling, right. I have the handle and the V, and then the band. Okay, so we're gonna take that handle and that V, we're gonna throw that out in the trash. That's yesterday's work. Okay, we're gonna take the band and we're gonna tether it to the wrist, to that little part I was talking about, that little holder. Okay, now it's locked in. Tether the other side, boom, now it's locked in. Okay, I'm stepping on the bands. Okay, now at this point I can do any exercise I desire and keep maximum tension. Okay, so when I come down, right, and I'm keeping the tension, right, it's all about your form. So the band will go in accordance to your form. In order for you to maintain form, you have to keep tension. Okay, so you keep your tension, all right, as well, because you're also, this within itself is a weight within itself, plus the tension that you have of the band. Okay, that's pulling as well. So when I come down, okay, when I come down, it's keeping maximum tension. Yeah, it's keeping maximum tension. Let me see, I'm standing up. Got both of them in. Say my my legs is spread wide, back straight, coming down. It's pulling me down. Okay, the weight of the wrist cuffs is pulling me down as well. Right, as the resistance from my legs is also pulling me down, so I'm also keeping the tension. Okay, now when I come up, okay, this will still be right here. The bands will still be right here. It won't move because of your form. Now, if I decide to do a hammerhead, to convert that into a hammerhead curl, right? If I decide to convert that into a hammerhead curl, see how my wrist change? It go from here to here, right? If I want to convert it to a curl like this, right, to where I'm curling like this, I can do this free range, right, without no abnormality and no external tension to the joints and to your wrist, the actual wrist, right? So it's keeping everything right here. Because in order for you to work out right here, what's done right here, the only part that really helps when you curling, besides the weight, right? But the weight doesn't have to be on your hand. It just is on your hand because that's, you know, how we know the roll. But traditionally, in all actuality, the only thing the gripping does is for the peakness of your muscle, right? Of your biceps. So you don't need to hold no weight to do that. You can have a ball in your hand, you can have nothing in your hand, you can have a sock in your hand while you're doing this with what I'm talking about, right? and you'll get the same effect. You can literally ball up a sock, right? And as you're curling, squeeze. Or what do you call them, little cushiony balls, you know what I'm saying? Like this, right? Squeeze, 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 right? And now you still got the wrist and you got the tether, right? But the difference is, however you move your wrist, that tether properly goes in alignment to your rotation. So that, therefore, you ain't looking crazy like some of these guys on YouTube, you know, with the damn band strangling all over their neck and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I look, I'm like, damn, that stuff all over you, you know, and it keeps maximum tension at that, you know. So it start off with about I'm gonna start off with about one tether anchor, and then advance it to 2. Because 2 on each arm ideally will bring you even distribution. But since dealing with the fact that this is a weighted component, right? It could be 20 pounds, 30 pounds, you know, 25, right? 5, right? That's still evenly it's still even distribution for your bicep. See, we think that for us to work our bicep, we got to hold something in our hand. We got to have that weight in our hand, because it's all we know and it's how we started. But in all actuality, you don't. Right? You can put them ankle weights on your wrist, which now they have them as wrist weights, and you can curl. May not be enough weights, but you know, depending on your size, right? So the oddness of when you're holding that triangular handle, right, with the thing that go through it or whatever it got going on, right? The oddness is that, right, you really can't do what you want in a comfortable fashion that seems natural. You have to push past that irregular thing and get accustomed to it. Let me see. Yeah, so it'll have to be about from here. You have to go from here. You go from the top of the wrist to about, see, I got long motherfucking wrist, to about right here. It had to be bulk. And then, therefore, now you can curl, right? And it don't got nothing to do with your hand, right? You don't have to worry about that. And if you wanna, you know, because if you curling and you hook it like that, it does something different for your bicep. Kick it out like that, it does something different. So, but the problem is when you're using these traditional bands, it don't evenly distribute the tension the way it's supposed to. Well, not the way it's supposed to, because it's working the way it's supposed to, but the way you actually need it to, you know, in a equally harmonious kind of way. Yep. Let me see. Hold on. 1 second. Okay. Let me see something real quick. Open it. Photos. So I want to show something, but I want to minus. This is something of what I have in mind, but I want to minus the hook, because they're not understanding what I mean and what I'm putting down, and they're so stuck to doing traditional things. Okay, so when you look at this right here, right, you see that little hook right there, the little silver hook. I want to get rid of that. Okay, right, I want to get rid of that hook. Okay, and let's just for instance, let's remove the 4 bands, right? Let's remove the 4 bands and let's look at one traditional band on a traditional one band, right? And the band on the bands, with the T handles and crap like that. Okay, let's look at that, right? But I'm talking about, instead of the T handle band, right? It's just a band that has a hardened construct, right? That's easy for attachment. So it just needs to be attachment enough that it can go in and lock in. That's it. It don't need to be hard enough to where it forces it changes the natural dynamic of movement and fluidity. My goal is to be able to have these bands on, weighted bands, right? Step on this damn on these bands, right? Pop it in, right? Now it's locked in, and that band, however I move my hand, it's gonna move. If I start fresh, right, it'll be down, right? With the tension, it'll be down, right? And if I curl, right, it'll come up, right? Stay right there, still pulling the tension down. If I go up, right, and rotate my hand, it will move in accordance, you feel what I'm saying? Around, it'll be moving from inside of the spear to outside of the spear of the wrist. You feel what I'm saying? So it always keep maximum tension at all times. If I'm stepping on it and I decide to go this way like that, you know what I'm saying, it'll move in accordance with how I'm moving, how elevated my hand is, right? How high do I have my hand up? All of that is changing the angle of the tension of where the band is constantly applying this resistance to. Because you can use just one band to have dual equal resistance around the wrist, right? So you look at one band, you got one band, right? It got the little part at the end, right? That doesn't take away from his movements and the fluidity of the motion. And boom, you put it in that tether, and you put it in that tether, Okay, and now it can move full freely. Now, you know, when you got one band and you got it on one wrist, right? You stepping on it with your left hand, with your left foot. Or you can step on it with your right foot. You might want to do them Wolverines or something like that. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, if you're stepping on it with your left foot, boom, you keep a full tension. And you totally abandoning all of this. You don't need none of this right here. You know what I'm saying? You really don't need that. And it's not effective for you to utilize. Even when you curl, if it wasn't so heavy, you would notice that that curling itself is irregular. You know what I'm saying? It's really not efficient. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, we use it and we do it, but it's not natural, right? Because you can't just. I mean, when you train and you're an expert, you learn how to move, but there's still limitations to what you can do. Is what I'm trying to say, right? If you can take that 50 pounds, remove it off a dumbbell, and strap it to your wrist, right? Then at that point, you are now able to enhance your exercise, your workout, by the natural fluidity you can have with your hands. You know, how you move in your hands. You can't do all that with weighted, weight. So, yep.